Well, if you're a wood turner like me, probably nothing much gets your pulse going like scoring a really nice burl like this one. This is a black cherry burl. Was given to me by Matt Collins of Matthew Collins Designs. I'll give you a link to his YouTube channel in the description down below. He's got some great content out there. This is a superb example of the type of burl that we find around here in Minnesota quite a bit. It is surrounding the circumference of the trunk of the tree. So you're going to have traditional or straight grain running through as the trunk passes through the burl, and then the burl will surround that. So you're going to have the wild grain patterns surrounding that, and then some straight grain running through the middle. Now the first thing you have to think about when you're going to attack one of these is, how are you going to cut it up? What are you going to do with the burl? I'm a bowl turner almost exclusively. Probably 90% of my turning is bowls, so I'm definitely going to try to come up with the best cut or cuts to get bowl or bowls out of this. So what I would want to do would be, with this type of burl, would be cut it in this orientation and split it and make two bowls that were sort of end grain orientation as it pertains to the trunk of the tree. And this is almost a perfect example for that. Unfortunately, one of the sides is not fully developed. So what I'm going to do with this instead is a traditional orientation bowl. So grain running through the bowl from side to side. And I'm going to simply cut the trunk off, leaving pretty good margin because I don't want to cut into that burl. I want to leave as much as possible and remove it on the lathe. Got a good powerful lathe, so I can get through that pretty quickly. I don't mind if it's a little bit out of balance as I get started. So I'm going to just leave a decent margin and cut through the trunk pieces on each side. Taking a measurement on moisture in the center of the log, sitting at about 13%, yeah, 14%. So not as bone dry as I thought. That's still pretty dry. I'm just using a grinder to get a flat spot to mount the faceplate, mounting a good size faceplate on the piece. And now I've got it spinning on the machine. Very slow at first. This is a very out of round blank, so just probably a few hundred RPM here, and slow going, just trying to hold that gouge steady against the rest and not let it jar me around too much. You see I'm doing a pull cut here, and mainly what I like to do is just use all of the sharpened edges. This dry burl beats up the gouge pretty badly, pretty quickly, so I try to use every portion of the sharpened surface just to minimize the trips back and forth to the grinder, which were pretty plentiful for this project. I would estimate that I probably sharpened, at least a dozen times or so during the course of the project, just to kind of give you an idea of how abrasive this dry burl can be. Now I'm just forming a tenon, good sized tenon for my large chuck that I'll use for this, and then doing some push cuts to shape the outside, and still pretty out of balance here, so just kind of still rounding it out a bit. Now you'll see I'm starting to remove some of the bulk material, and you'll start to see the shape emerging a little bit that I'm going for. Trying for a narrow at the bottom with a kind of a flaring out toward the top. And this is a better angle to kind of get a sense of this. This is sped up about 5 times just to kind of get you through the content, but give you an idea of the process that I'm following here. I got the outside shaped. I've got it now flipped around, mounted up on my chuck. I've got my Nova Titan chuck, so I know that will have a really good Gorilla grip on this good sized bowl. And then I'm going to start scooping out the inside. And just really trying to keep my cuts light out by this rim, because that is a fragile rim and I want to get it fairly thin. I probably went for a finished thickness, wall thickness of about, probably 5/8 or so. I would have liked to have gone a little bit thinner, but I just didn't want to risk it. Overall, I was pleased with how well it held together. I had only one good-sized chunk fly off during the process, but other than that, everything held together really nicely. And here I'm just scooping out material on the inside, just pushing down toward the base of the bowl. And, you know, with this dry wood, it does go pretty slowly, but not too bad. I'm at the bottom using the Ashley Harwood Signature Bowl Bottom Gouge. I love that thing. In a deep bowl like this with a narrow bottom, it really comes in handy. It does a great job of getting a finish-ready surface nearly at the bottom. Then just, I've got it mounted up on a vacuum chuck, and I'm just cleaning up the base. Just trying to get a nice, pleasing surface on the bottom. And just applying a few coats of a mixture of boiled linseed oil and wipe-on polyurethane. This is a great combination, and just trying to really get it in with all of the bark on the rim, and then just this burl really soaks up finish, so you got to really just be patient, just keep pouring it on as long as it takes. And I put about 3 or 4 coats. So with that, I thank you for watching. I hope you'll subscribe and come back to the Tool Metrics channel for more woodworking, wood turning, and DIY videos.